Okay, hi everyone, RC Engine Joe here, and today I have for you by far my largest project that I've worked on. It's not an RC model, as you can see. It's a ride-on scooter. It's made by Razor. It's an MX500, which I've modified here to be more of an adult-sized bike. I figured, why do kids get to have all the fun? Us adults should be able to have a little fun here too. So I took this on as a project, kind of fun thing to do. And I'll quickly give you a walk around and show you what I've done. And then later I'll take it for a spin and you can see it in action. All right, so we'll talk about the suspension first. You'll see the first thing I did here is I raised the rear end of the bike by lowering the rear forks and whatnot. I did that by adding a 9-inch shock here, which replaced a 6-inch shock, and that gave me about 6 inches more of ground clearance. Okay. Next thing I did is I modified the front forks a little bit. I also raised them to make them a little longer. What I did is I added some pipe fitting here. It's 1.5-inch pipe fitting. I don't know if you can see that or not. I bought this at Home Depot, so I added that there, and I added one here, and of course one on the other side to match. So that gave me an overall length adjustment here on the front forks of about 1.5 inches. Next thing I did is I raised the handlebars. I made these homemade handlebar risers. These are 3.5 inches, which I raised the handlebars. So between the front forks and the handlebars, I got 4.5 inches there. All right, I'll pan out a bit here. Next thing I did, I lowered the front foot pegs another 3 inches from the existing foot pegs. You can see, now there's the original foot peg, which I left on, and there's the new one. All right, so that allows me to stand, between this and the handlebars. Gives me enough space there where I can actually stand up and ride the bike a little bit. Pretty cool. Alright, so the next thing I did here is I added an extra battery. It came with 3 batteries, 12 volts each. I added a 4th, making it 48 volts. And then I replaced the stock 500 watt motor with a 750 watt motor. There's nothing on here that indicates that it's a 750 watt, but it fit right in. And believe it or not, I actually kept the stock speed controller, okay? And this seems to work pretty well at 48 volts. I haven't had any problems with it. And in fact, it actually works pretty well at 60 volts as long as you're going up to speed when you shift it into 60 volt mode, which I'll show you here in a second. Alright, so moving on, I added this amp meter here. It's an amp voltmeter. The top in blue is volts. I don't know if you can see it. It's flashing here because of the camera. And the bottom is amps. You can see I got 52 volts. As you know, it's a little over the 48 volts. And I actually added this cool little button here on the tank, on the faux gas tank. Now this button is my boost button, boost switch. When I flick it, you see now here, if you can, I go up to 60 volts. Now I flick that switch only when I'm up to speed and the current has dropped a bit because the motor's not working so hard. Once I flip that, I go into 60 volts. I can get this bike up to 28 to 30 miles an hour, no problem. You can put in a 7.4 or 11.1 LiPo battery, which I have down here in the cowl. Let's see if I can pull this out here for you. There it is. It's a 7.4 right now. I just tucked that in there with some Velcro. Pretty cool. Alright, I also added here my GPS system. Really nice, so I know how fast I'm going and how far I'm going, etc. Between the GPS and my amp meter, I can pretty much tell when my batteries are low and it's time for me to go home. And lastly, I added this cool little blinker here. you know, just for safety first. It's much brighter in real life than it shows here on the camera. They're pretty nice. And then I added some race stickers here, you know, just my own kind of concoction, just to make the bike look a little more racier and sportier and everything. So I'll show you me on the bike. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1" and 210 pounds. So you'll get to see what that looks like here. You know, I'm a big galoot. See if I can arrange something here. All right, so here's me getting on the bike. Remember, I'm a big guy. I added another foot peg here, back here, so my foot's at a little bit better of an angle. Altogether now, this bike here is probably about the size of a 100cc to 125cc pit bike. Alright, next time you'll see me going for a little ride. I'll add that to the end of this video.